this is that I enjoy my job, so it doesn't look like as much work for me on my end. However, the challenge is how can I bring balance back? Because I'm a dad of 3 young kids, 9, 7, and 6. Imagine that my workaholic takes such a streak where I'm like, I gotta provide for my family. I gotta make sure that's there. And my kids grow up and they're well provided for. But imagine them saying the haunting words, I wish I knew my dad.
Yeah.
But he was never around. Sure,
That's
he provided
so
for us.
tough,
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so how to be able to have it in your future. Now, I'm sure, like, maybe you'll have relationships. How to be able to bring healthy dynamic in your relationships where you have that balance that says, okay, I'm trying to remind myself, and this is what I have to do for myself. I can keep on working, but just because I can, should I? Is there other things I should be attending to by way of maybe meditation, maybe by way of going and hitting the gym if that's what your thing is, or maybe like appropriating the balance whereby you're having a healthy, it's kind of like the food we eat, right?
Yeah.
Are we eating just all the junk food because that's a lot of fun and it's our only interest, or are we balancing it out with other elements that we know that may not be as fun but it's important as well too?
Yeah.
So like knowing about how to like think about that balance at the outset now and kind of implementing that is going to carry you so long, you know, by way of a really good outcome, you know, where you don't have the kind of frustration in your relationships. You don't have the kind of frustration in your goals, career-wise, or whatever else that looks like.
Well, that's the thing that I feel like I know I'm still super young, 20.
Yep.
But I still feel like 20s is when you gotta get your shit together. Like that's when you start seeing people getting married, they start settling down, they have kids, right? So that's when I feel like I gotta get like I'm everywhere right now. Like I've got nothing figured out right now. I'm in school, but I don't have a clue what the hell I'm gonna do with my life right now.
Let me share my perspective again.
Yeah.
13 years you and I spent in high school. Oh, sorry, elementary to high school, right? I spent an additional 16 years in university.
16?
16 through various degrees that I took eventually in my grad studies. But here's the point I'm trying to make. Do you know why it took so long?
Why?
Because I did not find what I was made for.
Yeah.
And I was operating out of other people's expectations. And so I'd say, if I were to encourage you, screw other expectations or wherever people are at.
Yeah.
The comparison game is going to kill you.
Yeah.
Instead, focus on trying to find out who you are, what really matters to you, and what makes you tick. So that when you do apply yourself to it, you're propelling yourself out of conviction instead of like, I should get this because everyone else is on this page here. And especially even in relation to relationships or family or whatever that looks like, screw the comparison game. Try to figure out what makes you tick the way you're made. And when you discover that, and take the time to figure that out, so you don't spend like a long time. I went through like 2 different degrees before I finally settled on my final 2, and I was like, finally I found this. But it took that long for me to say, it's not this, it's not this. But finally when I did find it, it was like, now I know what I'm all about. I know what really matters to me, and that's why I feel I'm really clear on like what I'm trying to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And so that's why I'd say screw those expectations, screw the comparison, and aim for, hey, what is it that makes you you, in such a sense whereby you're like, okay, I don't care, like I'm happy for other people to do whatever they're doing that makes them happy.
Yeah.
But here's what my agenda is. And when you have that, you're free. You're totally free from what everyone's saying, hey, you should do this or you should do that. Do you know how often people say to me in my rides, you'd make an amazing cop, you'd make an amazing psychologist, like they're saying all these things, and once upon a time I listened to them and I wanted to make them happy, and that was a huge codependence trick that I had. It took me a long time to get to the point, man, where I was like, I appreciate what people are acknowledging that I'm good at, but I'm gonna strike my own pathway here on what I think is really important.
Yeah.
And I think there's real freedom there. But it takes time, and it takes time to be able to discover what that looks like. So don't be operating on the principle of, here's what people are saying I should be doing, or here's where everyone else is at. Let them do their life. But when you're able to catch that vein of what you're made for, man, all of a sudden you're like, there's no one who's going to stop you. And things just start evolving in a really appropriate way.
Man, I gotta say, you gave me another perspective here.
I'm glad. I wanted to encourage you that way, man.
You really did, man.
Cool.
I really appreciate the ride.
My pleasure. I hope to see you again along the way. Eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Have yourself a good night.
Same to you.
Take it
man.
easy.
All right.